Sergey, coming in.
A nice group shot, so it's going to get even better as we also invite the reserve fighters in a group shot. Good afternoon to you and welcome. We thank you for your attendance. It's a very exciting time for Showtime and Strikeforce as Saturday night at the Izod Center we begin in association with M1 Global, the first stage of the Strikeforce Heavyweight World Grand Prix, a collection of the World MMA Heavyweight Greats fighting in an 8-man single elimination tournament. Regarding Saturday night's fights, a little more information in regards to the Izod Center. Tickets are still available. Ticket sales have been going great. We're going to let Scott Coker tell us a little bit more about that. They're available at the Izod box office, Izod Center box office, Ticketmaster, Ticketmaster.com, as well as Strikeforce.com. The doors open on Saturday at 6:45. First fight to commence soon after at 7:30 p.m. We have 10 total fights scheduled for that night. The first television bout, as we begin with our reserve bouts, will begin at 10 p.m. 5 heavyweight fights on the Showtime televised portion. We do want to acknowledge our sponsors, presenting sponsor here today and gathered here for one tournament. So allow me to give a little bit more information. Of course, they are very well known to all of you, but allow me to put it in perspective as I introduce each of the fighters. First of all, gentlemen fighting on Saturday night at the Izod Center, the main event, the consensus #1 pound-per-pound fighter of all time. He has faced and defeated nearly every great heavyweight rival of his era. He's won 28 consecutive bouts before finally suffering a loss last year in June. At 6 foot even, 240 pounds, hailing from Staryelsko, Russia, he holds a record of 31-2 with 1 no contest. I give you Fedor Emelianenko. And the man who meets Fedor in the cage on Saturday night, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. He has won 8 of his last 9 fights to emerge as a world top 10 ranked heavyweight. Towering at 6 foot 4 inches and 265 pounds, he hails from Campina Grande, Paraíba, Brazil. He holds a career record of 15 wins and 2 losses. Antonio Bigfoot Silva. Also fighting this Saturday at the Izod Center, a former superstar in the Pride Fighting Championship who recently re-entered the heavyweight scene with a stunning first-round knockout at K1 Dynamite in Japan on New Year's Eve. He is the last man to defeat reigning Strikeforce heavyweight champion Alistair Overeem. He's a master of Russian Sambo. At 6'4", 220 pounds, fighting out of Pattaya, Thailand by way of Moscow, Russia. He holds a career record of 17 wins and 4 losses. Sergey Kharitonov. And Sergey's opponent on Saturday night at the Izod Center is a former UFC heavyweight champion. A former Sambo champion who also excels in boxing and kickboxing, and indeed has trained with legendary boxing trainer Freddie Roach. At 6 feet 4 inches, 240 pounds, fighting out of Chicago, Illinois by way of Minsk, Belarus, holds a record of 15 wins and 8 losses. Introducing Andrei Arlovsky. And our next fighter is a Cinderella story indeed, a former tire technician who has since established himself as a ferocious force in the world of MMA. He went unbeaten in his first 11 fights before finally being stopped in the tracks by the greatest heavyweight fighter of all time. A heavyweight-handed power-punching machine who has earned 9 of his 11 wins by way of knockout. Standing at 6 foot 5 inches, 265 pounds, fighting out of Minneapolis, Minnesota, he holds a career record of 11 wins and 2 losses. Brett Rogers. The next tournament fighter is the youngest UFC heavyweight champion in history. He will bring a 6-fight win streak to the cage for his Strikeforce debut. He has been ranked as high as number 2 in the heavyweight division. An expert in catch wrestling at 6 foot 3 inches, 250 pounds. He hails from Seattle, Washington, with a career record of 29 wins, 5 losses, with 17 wins coming by way of submission, Josh Barnett. Next, we have the man who pulled off the upset of the year in 2010 by defeating the seemingly unstoppable greatest fighter of all time, Fedor Emelianenko, with an arm triangle submission. A Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, he has faced and defeated a host of the world's top heavyweights during his 9-plus-year professional MMA career. Standing at 6 feet 4 inches, 240 pounds, he hails from Porto Alegre, Rio do Sul, Brazil, with a record of 14 wins, 4 losses, and 1 draw, Fabricio Verdum. And finally, the first fighter in history to simultaneously hold a major MMA championship with Strikeforce and a K1 Grand Prix championship. He has been an overwhelming force in both MMA and kickboxing. He has not been defeated in MMA since 2007. At 6 feet 5 inches, 260 pounds, he hails from Amsterdam in the Netherlands with a career record of 34 wins, 11 losses, and 1 no contest. Please welcome the Strikeforce World Heavyweight Champion, Alistair Overeem. Well, we've met the fighters. Let's meet our promoter, a gentleman whose ideas, his professionalism, has captured the fighters' attentions around the world. He's the man who put it all together. Strikeforce CEO, Mr. Scott Coker.
Thank you. Woo. Well, I just had a nice ride around New York, so I apologize for being late. You know, I'll tell you, when I think about this tournament, it really makes me feel really good inside that, you know, all 8 of these fighters are fighters that have great accomplishments in their own fields and in other organizations way before they came to Strikeforce and our co-promotion with M1 today. And to put this group of 8 fighters together, it has a very special meaning to me. I've been, you know, working in the martial arts business for 25 years. I work for the greatest stand-up organization called K1. It was a Japanese company for 8 years. And you know, people say, how did you get to the tournament? And so as we started signing some great talent, we had Alistair for several years, and then we signed Fabricio, and we started by signing Bigfoot Silva, and we signed Brett Rogers, and we started collecting all these great heavyweights. You know, we said, wow, we can really put this together. And I know there's a lot of people that doubted us, but if you look up here today, I feel very confident that Saturday night will be a historical landmark in the sport of mixed martial arts, because it's a very special moment in time that these fighters are all healthy, young, competitive, at their stage in the career where they can arguably say that the fighter that wins this tournament will go through a gauntlet of fights that will clearly, in my mind, define who the #1 fighter is in the world in the heavyweight division. And with that, I'd like to introduce Evgeny Kogan, who is with M1, who is our co-promotion partner on Saturday night. And he'll say a few words about M1 and how they feel about the tournament. Again.
Scott, thank you very much. I'll be very brief. The heavyweight tournament that Strikeforce, Scott Coker, the partners at Showtime, Ken Hirschman, have put together, it really is the most exciting thing to happen in mixed martial arts for a very, very long time. Make no doubt about it. The tournament should put Strikeforce on the map as the premier organization for mixed martial arts in the US, and M1 is happy to be a part of that. I'd like to say thank you to Scott, to partners at M1, Vadim Finkelstein, to Showtime, Ken Hirschman, Chuck McLean. Thank you.
I'd also like to, where is Vadim? I know Vadim's hiding around here somewhere, but if you could just raise his hand. Vadim, is Vadim here? Vadim Finkelstein, he is the owner of M1. and he's the one that made it possible for Fedor to compete in this tournament, so we should give him a nice round of applause.
At this time, we're going to have a group photo of our 8 tournament fighters. Then we're going to invite our reserve fighters up. We're going to have a larger group photo, and then we're going to lead to our questions. Fighters are returning to their seats. We do want to bring to your attention, they indeed are available for one-on-ones here as well. So take the opportunity to speak with them.
We can get a chair. Come on. My good friend. It's always so lovely about
Thanks, Mauricio. Nice job, buddy.
Mauricio helping us all organize our press conference. We appreciate his cooperation. Hey, here's what we're going to do. We have a couple of microphones out for you in the media. Wait to have your question. Wait till the microphone comes to you for your question. We all want to hear it. If you could do us the honor of telling us your publication and then ask your question. All fighters and promoters are available to answer any of your questions. Following our questions, we will have the one-on-ones. You can speak with anyone, and don't forget the reserve fighters are available here as well for the one-on-ones. So, identify yourself, raise your hand, we have the microphones coming, and let's make sure we all get some questions. We have a question over here.
Thank you. Hi, Eddie Goldman with No Holds Barred. A question for Fabricio Verdum. You have victories over, of course, Fedor Emelianenko and Alistair Overeem. Do you consider yourself the favorite or one of the favorites in this tournament? Thank you.
No, I'm not the favorite. I'm just like the fight, my life. Now I'm just thinking my training is very important for me. My focus now in my training, my first fight, that's it. I'm just thinking my training is very important. I'm in good condition, very good, my body, my mind, I'm fight 100%, no problem.
Hi, Marcelo Alonso from Portal do Vale Tudo and Share.com. To Fedor, in your last fight you fought against Fabricio Verdum, which is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. I would like to know what you changed once you're going to fight another Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Also, if you underestimate Fabricio in your last fight.
Я ничего не менял к этому бою, как до этого готовились, так и сейчас. Все по-прежнему.
I haven't changed anything in my camp, in my training. I train the same way as I used to do before that.
Can you answer the second part of the question? About if you thought he underestimated...
Sorry, could you repeat the second part of the question? The estimate of Fabricio Verdum?
Нет, я недооценил его. Почему? Просто так получилось.
No, it's not the lack of estimation, it just happened so.
For Scott. Over here, Scott. Scott, Ariel Helwani from AOL Fan House. Any idea where the next 2 fights are going to take place and when?
We have a couple target dates. As you know, we're trying to lock that venue in Japan. That has not been locked in yet, so hopefully we'll have something soon to announce, but right now we don't have anything to announce. Japan is still an option. We're in dialogue, so that's a possibility, but right now it's not locked in yet.
Can you confidently say that the tournament will end in 2011?
I feel very good about that, yes.
Antonio, could you talk about what it's going to be like to fight Fedor in the quarterfinal bout? What it means to you?
This fight is very important for me, very important for my life. And Fedor is the best in the world. He's a legend on MMA, and I'm very happy. And all the guys say Fedor is gonna win, Fedor's knockout silver. I was not in my house, eat pizza, watch movie, and drink soda. I'm trying too hard, and I'm gonna prove this Saturday night.
Прикольно. Я дома не сидел, птицу не кушал. Говорит, дома не сидел, птицу не кушал. Я готовился.
You have a question in the back? Microphone's heading over there.
Hi, I'm Eugene from Complex Magazine. My question is to Fedor. Is it hard to find sparring partners the size of Antonio?
Could you repeat your question? Where are you? I'm sorry. Okay, could you repeat your question, please?
Is it hard to find sparring partners the size of Antonio Silva?
Но я не занимаюсь поиском своих партнеров, это делают мои тренера. Вот. А так в основном мы работаем с нашей молодежью, с молодыми ребятами, которые у нас в клубе занимаются.
Well, actually, usually I'm not looking or searching for sparring partner. Mostly we work out and we have sparrings with guys and athletes who come and visit and work out in our club, sport club.
Josh Gross, ESPN.com. But Fabricio already said that he doesn't necessarily consider himself the favorite to win the tournament. Does any of you 8 feel like you are the favorite and you deserve to be considered that?
That's for anybody. Yeah, it's a question that could be answered by anyone.
Do you think you deserve to be considered the favorite? I mean, is that your expectation? I assume you all expect to win, but sitting up here looking at your opponents, any of you feel like you're the guy to win?
There's no reason for it. From our perspective, speculation. I could speak over Mike. Speculation is for you guys. Speculation is not for us. We don't speculate. You know, our ranking, our understanding, our place will be shown by action. So for us to say we're the favorite or not the favorite, it's all bullshit. It doesn't matter. You're the favorite when you've won. You're the loser when you've lost. So you guys pick a favorite. You rank us. You put you create the lines. Put the money down. Let us fuck each other up. How about that? Or, you know, actually, me and Fyodor are going to thumb wrestle.
Bruce Kibo, MMAConfidential.com and MMA Confidential. Fabricio, how many times have you watched the Fedor fight, Fabricio? How many times have you viewed the Fedor fight?
Maybe it's no joking, guys. 1,000. No, it's serious. No joke. I watch it. I watch it all the time. I watch. Maybe I stay in my home. I watch put the internet. I watch because I like it. It's good for me. It's no joking. It's serious. You say 1,000. Maybe. I don't know. Or more. Maybe more.
And since you have a win over Alistair, do you feel very confident that you would beat him?
For sure. I've been confident in all my fights because I have a good camp. My camp is, my opinion, is the best camp in the world. I'm training Kings MMA with Rafael Cordeiro. Yeah, I'm confident the fight. I'm just training a lot, training for a bit over and again. He's not joking. Okay.
Overeem, what is your response to Fabricio Verdum? He calls you my son, and yesterday he called you his bitch.
This is joking. This is joking.
I believe it. It's like this. Let him hype himself up. I'm really looking forward to this revenge match. He's very confident. He came very confident from the Fedor fight. But so am I. Just came coming from the K1 championship. So it's going to be a great fight, and I'm sure you will not be disappointed.
USA Sambo Federation, Boris. Question to Федор in Russian. Федор, вам 34 года, и вы провели 34 боя. Сколько лет и боев вы еще собираетесь провести?
Further, you are 34 years old and you're participated in 34 fights already. How long are you going to be in sport and how many fights you plan to have?
Да, уже я чувствую возраст, уже задумываюсь об уходе. Я бы хотел, конечно, выступать как можно дольше, но как Бог даст. Ну, думаю, этот контракт доработаю, а там будет видно. Как Бог даст.
Well, to tell the truth, yes, I do feel my age. And it's more and more I start thinking about retiring. But I would like to fight as long as it is possible. And definitely I will finish this contract.
For Scott again. Scott, when you announced this fight, there were some who said that there wasn't enough time to promote an event, especially for your first one here in the New York, New Jersey area. How are ticket sales going?
Actually, it's a good question. I mean, do you like to have 3 months to promote a fight? Of course. But, we had a very special opportunity to put this together. As you guys know, the ink was drying on, Fedor's contract, and we were already locking in the venue and picking a date for the Izod Center. So the venue was available, the TV day was available, all the fighters were available, so we went for it, and I think that we have a great staff. And my guys are really good at putting together the venue deals and managing the marketing and things like that. So I think that pre-ticket sales were 20% above all of our other fights that we've had with Fedor involved, and we're expecting a big crowd on Saturday night. I mean, we're going to have between 13 and 15,000 is what my expectations are. Right now, it's configured for 14,500 with the entrances and all the stuff that we have. So it'll be packed.
Россия, телеканал «Боец», руководство М1 и Strikeforce. Вы удивили, приятно, потрясли весь мир, собрав великую восьмерку. Что самое трудное было в создании такой файт-карты?
Scott, you worked really very hard to be able to assemble and get together such a great 8 fighters. How did you manage to create such a great fight card?
That's a very good question. I mean, really, these fighters, like I said, all came from different organizations, came from, Pride was the biggest and the best heavyweights back in the day. And we've had relationships with all these guys and all these camps, and really it's based on relationships. And I think that that's how we got the tournament going. And the beauty of it, like I said earlier, was these guys, wanted to be in the tournament. It wasn't like we had to go and say, Fabricio, can you please fight in this tournament? Or these guys all said, look, I remember sitting with Alistair on New Year's Eve, and he said, you know what, I want to be in your tournament, and I want to fight Fabricio Verdum. So.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. So it's relationships, I think, is the answer too.
Anil Malwani from Full Contact Fighter and MMA.us. This question is for Sergey Karatanov and for Brett Rogers and for Fabricio Verdum. If you three make it to the next round, is there anybody in particular you'd want to fight?
Hey, I stand on, who's ever in front of me, man. After, it's the same, I'm a fighter just like everybody else. You make it to the second round, your focus is on your next opponent. So it is what it is, man. I'm here to fight hard, just like everybody else.
I don't understand the question. Sorry.
If you make it to the next round, is there anybody in particular you'd want to fight? What?
No. I mean, just maybe I like. It's my heart say the next, but the Fedor Pezão, because Pezão is my friend. Pezão maybe won this fight. I mean, I like, but just maybe everybody maybe like the watch the rematch. Yes, maybe I I like the idea. Maybe because Fedor gave me the opportunity for fight for him. Yeah, I give the opportunity for Fedor again. I like the idea because everybody like the watch the fight, the rematch. Yes, I mean, just my heart say big foot win, but for business, just the business. So just Fedor again is good for me.
Если я выиграю свой бой в субботу, мне, в принципе, без разницы драться с кем из пары Бретт Роджерс и Джош Барнетт. То есть буду драться сильнейшим. Кто победит, с тем и буду драться. А так готов драться с любым, готов к любому повороту событий.
Первый бой надо победить.
To me, it really doesn't matter. If I was to come out victorious against Andrei Arlovsky and go into the second round, I can fight either Brett Rogers or Josh Barnett. Obviously, whoever the winner of that fight is, and even so, I'm ready for any turn of the events, however it spans out.
Based upon fan reaction to the tournament and much of the media reaction, it seems like Fedor, Alistair, and Fabricio are the favorites, just in terms of public perception. Josh, Andre, Sergey, the rest of you guys feel like you're being underestimated in this? You're not being given a fair shot?
It doesn't really matter to me. I don't care what people think. I don't care where they rank me. I don't care about belts or titles or any of that crap. The only thing you can do is murder people. You do that, you get everything you want. That's our job. Our job is not to be, the apple of anybody's eye. Our job is not to be someone's, favorite dog and pony show so that they can trump them about all around the world. That's just things that come with adulation and interest in entertainment or sports in general. If you're the favorite, that presents one, whole path that you're going to go down. Well, if you lose, and then that whole deal, people expect this out of you and such. And then if you're not the favorite, then it's like, oh, you could have the I've got nothing to lose attitude. I mean, either way, it's a story, just from a different angle. And as long as you guys are entertained, then I guess it's doing its job.
I'm definitely underdog for this fight against Sergey Kharitonov because I lost 3 of my fights and I'm cool with it. So Josh absolutely right. You have to one step at a time and focus on my fight against Sergey and Sarah, and we'll see what's happening after.
Brett, I'd like to hear your thoughts. I mean, your whole career has been. Do you feel in that role again?
Сейчас не знаю, мне надо подниматься.
Yeah, man, this is definitely a roller coaster. I mean, I look at it like this, down to, when I went out the States, I went out the States to fight and came back into the States. So that was my turn, to just kind of push forward. I mean, I can talk the talk on, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. But it's like everybody say, you know what I mean? The fight is gonna show itself. I'm in it to win it. I'm out here to have fun as well. So, that's how I see it.
This is for all 8 fighters. I know this might be difficult, but have you guys taken a step back and thought about the historical relevance of this and how it might impact the sport going forward? Can anyone comment on that, of being part of such a big thing in our sport for this year? I mean, all 8 of you are sitting, you must be looking at one another, realizing you're going to be a part of something very big this year.
Well, when I look at them, I think, what a fine group of young men here. Very upstanding, quite attractive, well-dressed. I should think that when they get up in the morning, they have to take a little extra time in the mirror to admire that which has been created for this world. He snickered, yes. That's a half smile. It's like a full smile from someone else. Everybody's going to view this differently. Everyone's going to filter it through their own lens. For sure, this is going to be significant. I think that it's the greatest collection of heavyweights, as everybody has said, but it's not just a paper thing, because everybody has walked the walk before. Most of the guys coming in here own titles of some sort. Sergey, a lot of you are talking about titles like UFC or Strikeforce or Pride and such, but Sergey has titles from 32-man tournaments in Russia. I mean, that's a pretty impressive accomplishment in my book, just because we might not be known of such a accomplishment doesn't diminish it. So everybody in here is tough as nails. I think that when, there is a lot of factors that are going to play into this, if injuries come about or anything like that. But if this tournament comes through as expected and planned, this is going to be a total earth shaker in the world of MMA, which is predominantly seen through only one lens for most of the public. And after this, there's no way that you can view it any other, that the importance of the heavyweights that fought here in this tournament. The biggest thing, I think, from my perspective, is going to be how you, the media, perceive it, and whether you're going to take the onus to look at it subjectively, or is there still going to be a bias?
What do you mean by subjectively and
Well,
biased?
if it's a constant 3-letter,
Comparison?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if everyone's just going to say, well, if it's not the UFC, then it's not as good, then you're really sort of shitting on all that we're doing here. So I just want everybody to look at it from a completely objective and subjective standpoint, for what it is, for what we bring to the table, for what we're going to accomplish, and it doesn't matter where. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter where we fight, where these things get put together. I'm glad to be here in Strikeforce, and I think it's a great organization. But it's about the fighters themselves. We have to become the champions. We're the ones that go out there and train. We're the ones that bleed and break our bones in the ring, and our accomplishments will shine regardless of what cage or ring or back alley or whatever it takes to accomplish what it is to go out there and be a fighter.
Thank you. Alistair, would you also like to comment? You've created a bunch of records, broke a bunch of records this last year. Where does this, potentially winning this tournament, where would that rank with the Dream titles, the K1 titles, and for you personally?
Oh, I always take one thing at a time. And that was a couple years ago, the Strikeforce title, then K1 title, then the Dream title. And this is my next goal. This is it. You have here the 7 best fighters in the world. Undoubtedly, the winner of this tournament is going to be the #1 on the planet.
So would you say this would be the sweetest one for you of the last, with the 3 altogether, Dream, K1, this one?
Yes, but it's going to be the biggest thing happening in MMA. I mean, there's no doubt. The winner of this tournament is #1, the best fighter in the world.
Great, thank you. Does anyone else want to comment on the historical relevance? Sorry.
I don't know. What was the question?
Specifically coming into this tournament, I mean, this is a great step for you in your personal career. How do you feel being against with these 7 guys?
I feel great. I feel, mostly shocked, you know what I mean? I'm up here with all these top dogs, you know what I mean? Heavyweights, everybody want to, get in to win. And the way I see it is just me as a fighter, looking at myself. I can only focus for myself. And I'm saying, this is definitely a great opportunity to showcase myself as a Strikeforce heavyweight fighter, here in the States and all over the world, so I mean, I'm cool with everything. That's enough word.
Hi, Eddie Goldman again. A question for both Scott and Evgeny. I agree with what people have said about the historical importance of this tournament and that this is the greatest collection of heavyweights in MMA. But even though we are now in New York City at this press conference, you still cannot legally run a mixed martial arts show such as great as this one and this tournament is in the state of New York. What do you think having this tournament right over the river will do to enhance the reputation of MMA in the East Coast and in the New York, New Jersey area? And number 2, are any of these politicians who have a vote on this, because the people don't vote, the politicians vote on this, being invited to the show to show to them this is MMA at its finest and this should be legalized everywhere?
Thank you. And what was the question again? No, joking. So here, we're based, originally, we started as a small regional promotion out of San Jose, California. And although it's been a long time here, I've seen the same steps that we're taking in California, we're also being taken here. And it's taking a little longer here than it did in California, but California, for the longest time, it was next year, and then next year, and next year. And really, the very first fight I did was Frank Shamrock versus Cesar Gracie. And people, even the media at that time, would come up to me and say, why are you doing this? You've had some great shows in kickboxing at the time and martial arts, and why would you want to promote just cage fighting? People are gonna, get hurt in the cage, and it was just a lack of understanding, right? And I think that as the understanding becomes clearer and as great shows continue to happen, not just us, in other leagues as well. I mean, this is a sport, and the sport is mixed martial arts. It's not any one league. This is a great tournament, and we have a great event coming up Saturday, but the sport of mixed martial arts has to be accepted. And so I think it's just going to be a process of education through the community and through the legislation, and hopefully that will, it might take another year or two, Eddie, but I think eventually it will get there. I think it's inevitable that it will get there. But the one thing that the confusion in their mind was because they didn't understand mixed martial arts. And one of the ways I could explain it really clear to these guys was, look, when you have boxing, wrestling, and you have martial arts, and they got all that, but the part they didn't get was a submission fighter, right? But then I said, look at the, we have a big Olympic judo contingency in the Bay Area, and I said, look at Mike Swain. In Olympics, you can do choking, you can do submissions, you can do. So if you frame it up for the general public to understand, then I think that as it becomes a little clearer, it'll be easier and easier for everybody to accept here on the East Coast.
I'd like to add something to what Scott said. We don't have that much experience with MMA in the US, but we have a lot of experience with MMA in Russia. And it has taken M1 all of about 12 years in Russia to become accepted as legitimate sport. And in 2011, we're finally on federal television, and that's taken a lot of support from the government, from various people in the One Russia administration who have been pushing our cause. And it has to be said that without support in the government by people who understand what we're trying to do, that we are a legitimate sport, that we are trying to achieve something which is parallel with Olympic sports, parallel with other sports which are accepted, that nothing will happen. So I think in the New York area, eventually, the right people will support MMA, and MMA will be legalized.
Hello. A question to Mr. Cooker. Historical significance. My name is Nehemiah Kramer from FightMagazine.ru. Historical significance of this assembly of people, it's incredible. So do you believe that right now you're in a position to actually to get really good competition to UFC on toughest level? Because if you know Dana White, last time he mentioned this tournament, and he was actually shocked by what is going to happen, and he has nothing in it. So what's your comment?
Well, my philosophy has always been, look, my position is we're growing the sport, right? They have a great league, they're doing their part. We have a better heavyweight division than any other martial arts league in the world. And it's very clear to me when you see these guys up here that that is truly the case. But they're doing a good job promoting their league. We're going to do a great job promoting our league. So why can't there be two leagues? And that's my position. And I've always felt, in fact, in Ariel's interview, I said, look, I don't have to hurt their business to grow my business. And so that's been my philosophy. I don't wake up and worry about what's going on the other side of the fence. I have enough work to do here that I'm only going to worry about what's on my side of the fence.
Thank you very much.
Hi, Mike Chiapetta from MMAfighting.com. Question for Alistair, please. Alistair, before the tournament, Fedor was considered the favorite by the odds makers. The fans have been betting on you. They think you're going to win this. I'm just wondering, do you feel any pressure as far as fulfilling the big expectations that are expected of you from the fans now?
No, because I don't pay attention to things that happen with numbers and odds and stuff. So I don't feel any pressure at all, actually.
Scott, obviously you guys have these backup bouts, alternate bouts if somebody gets hurt. I'm curious though, if there's an injury that's not considered too severe, how long would you wait for these guys? Because obviously you want to have these 8 guys go on if possible. How long would you wait if it was something that wouldn't take months, for example?
Our goal is to have these 8 fighters, compete until they get eliminated. To answer your question, I would probably say 6 weeks to 2 months. If we had to wait, 6 weeks to 2 months. But if it's somebody blew their meniscus or they got seriously injured and we're out for 6 months, then we would probably look to an alternative to fill that space. But we're going to do our best to try to keep the tournament intact. And as you know, in this sport, injuries happen, so you never know. But I feel good that we'll have a good shot at it.
Scott, there are 3 reserve bouts. Is there a ranking in terms of who would be the first one to slide in if someone gets injured?
I mean, right now, the only reserve match that is confirmed to go in if there was an injury would be the Shane Del Rosario fight with LeVar. But keep in mind, based on what happens, I think you're on the conference call, we talked about the committee led by Corey Schaefer, that it'll go back to committee and as to how we move forward. If somebody drops out, one of the 8 guys has to drop out due to injury.
This question is for Fedor. Verdum said he watched your guys' fight 1,000 times. I'd like to know how many times have you watched the Verdun fight, and then I have a second part to that question.
Мне достаточно один раз посмотреть, чтобы понять и запомнить.
Молодец.
Не знаю, один раз сам и несколько раз с друзьями. Приходилось смотреть.
So actually, if to speak about, well, usually, you know, how many times I watch the fight, usually I watch it one time and it's enough for me. Speaking about my last fight, actually, well, I watched it several times. Once myself and several times with my friends.
Okay, great. And the second part of my question, I read recently in an interview that Fedor said he hadn't gotten any tape on Antonio Silva, his next opponent. At that point, has this changed? Has he looked at any video of his opponent on Saturday?
Я смотрел и с Фабрисио Вердом смотрел его бой.
Yes, I did watch the fights of Antonio Silva, and also I watched his fight with Verdun, Fabricio Verdun.
Any thoughts on those fights?
Сделал для себя определенные выводы.
Well, I did make some conclusions for myself.
Молодец.
After the fight.
A question for Fedor and then also for Brett Rogers. Fedor, before you fought Verdun, you were like unbeatable. Nobody could beat you. Did you ever feel that you were unbeatable? And now that you're in this tournament, are you training harder than ever? And also after that, Brett Rogers, before you lost to Fedor, did you feel unbeatable?
Знаете, я вообще не думаю о том, что победим или не победим. Это понятно, что это просто дело времени. Вот, и я был готов к поражению, и оно произошло. Я благодарю Бога за все и за все мои победы, и за поражения. Поэтому принимаем все как есть. И лишними вопросами голову себе не забиваю.
So frankly speaking, well, I never thought about, about the idea of being unbeatable or beatable fighter. So, and well, I understand clearly that the loss, this is just the matter of time, that sometime it was supposed to happen and it happened. And I'm always ready for the loss. But at the same time, I'm thankful to the God for all my victories, for all my wins, and I'm thankful to the God for my losses as well. And frankly speaking, I'm not taking some, extra information which I don't need into my mind.
Спасибо.
Yes, I did feel unbeatable, unstoppable. I think we all, as fighters growing in the rankings or whatnot, that's how we feel. So even now, I still feel untouchable, unbeatable. And I'm going to continue to have that way, or feel that way, because it's a fine line between cocky and confidence. Somehow, somewhere, I fit somewhere in between. So that's where I'm going to say it.
We're going to wrap up our press conference at this time. We do want to remind you that the weigh-ins on Friday are open to the public at the Izod Center, the concourse level. Doors open at 4. fighters step on the scale at 5 o'clock. We'd love to have the public attend that. I think it's going to be very exciting for them to be part of seeing this kind of lineup at the weigh-in. So please let your readers and viewers know that the weigh-in is open to the public Friday. Fighters on the scale at 5, doors open at 4 o'clock. We look forward to seeing you Saturday, the Izod Center, the first stage of the Strikeforce Heavyweight World Grand Prix. Fighters are available for one-on-ones, and we thank you very much once again.